Life had been moving to the dull rhythm of monotony, slipping by without excitement, until that night, until the moment Jaden stepped into my room and everything changed. In his eyes, I saw more than just an innocent mistake. I saw the traces of a held-back desire, a spark he had tried to hide for so long. But the moment I realized he had been playing a game, I decided I would set the rules now. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. We promise you stories that will make you reflect, question, and maybe even see yourself in the characters we share. This wasn't just Jaden's game anymore. I had my own moves to make. The real question was, when two people play a game like this, who comes out the winner? That night was only the beginning of a story that would take us to places I could never have imagined. The evening in our Atlanta home felt strange, almost unnervingly so. Silence had settled over the house, heavy, unsettling, wrapping around every corner. Malik's nephew Jaden had joined us for dinner earlier. He visited often, always welcomed but never for long. After the meal, Jaden left, and, as usual, Malik had dozed off early on the couch. His lifeless routine had dulled everything around him. The lack of passion in him was like a gray filter spread over every wall in our home. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my thoughts drifting back to Malik's indifference. I was 47, and yet when I looked in the mirror, I still saw my beauty that Malik seemed to overlook entirely. Sometimes I wondered if this was my punishment, a life sentence to quiet neglect. Deep down, I knew I was timid, maybe too much so. But there was a part of me, buried under years of routine, that longed for change. I sighed, adjusting the thin sheet barely covering me. Just as I was about to drift off, the soft creak of a floorboard startled me. My heart skipped. I looked toward the door. A shadow moved in the dim light from the hallway. "Jaden," I called, my voice low, laced with curiosity and unease. He stepped into the room, his face a mix of hesitation and guilt. Casual clothes clung to his athletic frame. At 26, Jaden was everything Malik wasn't. Vibrant, confident, strikingly handsome. "Sorry," he muttered. "I think I left my bag in here earlier when we were talking about the antiques." I blinked, confused, then suddenly aware the sheet had slipped down, my shoulders bare, legs exposed. A flush spread through me, not from embarrassment, but something more complicated. "Jaden," I said, my voice steady despite my heart racing, "you could have knocked." His gaze dipped, just for a moment. "I wasn't thinking," he stammered, cheeks reddening. "Take your bag and go," I said, firmer this time. He bent down to pick it up, but when he stood, his eyes betrayed him again, sweeping over my legs. That moment stretched like an eternity. My breath hitched. "Jaden," I whispered, "you need to leave." He hesitated, nodded, then left, his gaze lingering a second too long. I sat in the silence, heart pounding, knowing that wasn't just a mistake. That was the beginning of everything. The next morning, the doorbell rang early. I knew who it was. There stood Jaden on my Atlanta porch, his expression a mix of embarrassment and quiet confidence. "Lana," he said softly, with a small smile. "About last night, I didn't mean to disturb you. I'm honestly embarrassed I walked in without knocking." I smiled faintly. "Yes, it was strange. But it's fine. Let's forget it." He nodded, but looked like he had more to say. "Still, I regret it, if I made you uncomfortable." "Come in," I said, stepping aside. "You've come all this way. Coffee?" In the kitchen, I felt his eyes on me. When I brought the coffee into the living room, he was already seated comfortably, watching me with interest. "Thanks," he said. "By the way, my Uncle Malik is a lucky man." His words caught me off guard, and yet they pleased me. "Thank you," I said quietly. But things with Malik aren't exactly exciting. Jaden lowered his head, smiling slightly. Yeah, he's not the most emotionally expressive guy. He kind of just ignores things, doesn't he? His words hit me like a wave. I found myself opening up, venting about Malik's disinterest, his coldness, how I felt invisible. Jaden listened, really listened. Lana, he said, locking eyes with me, you deserve so much more. His sincerity stirred something in me. I smiled softly. You're very kind, but I can tell. You walked into my room last night on purpose. The look on his face said it all. Well, I said teasingly, what were you really thinking last night? He leaned closer. Do you really want to know? His voice dropped. Let's just say it was more than you'd expect. We both knew where this game was headed. But this time, the control wasn't in his hands. It was mine. And I had a plan. Chloe, he murmured, his voice low and shaky, barely audible over the hum of electricity returning. Lana, I corrected softly, still holding the candle, its wax dripping onto the floor as I stepped closer. The room was no longer dark, but the tension lingered like fog, thick, unmoving. Jaden turned slowly, his face catching the soft light from the chandelier overhead. He looked confused, guilty, but also captivated. Lana, he repeated, and this time it rolled off his tongue like it belonged to him. My heart thudded in my chest, but not out of fear. I felt something I hadn't felt in years, seen, truly deeply seen. He searched my face like he was trying to read a language he'd just discovered. Why are you doing this? He asked, but his voice didn't carry resistance. Only conflict. I didn't hesitate. Because I'm tired of pretending. Tired of being invisible. You walked into that room last night and reminded me I still exist. That I still matter. Jaden took a small step forward. His breath caught. Our hands brushed, his skin warm, uncertain. I could feel the pull between us. He shook his head slightly, as if trying to shake off the weight of what was happening. This isn't right. It isn't wrong either, I said, eyes locked on his. Not when it feels this real. A moment passed, and then another. He didn't move away. Instead, he leaned in, slow, careful, testing the air between us. His lips grazed mine, hesitant at first, but then bolder. It wasn't a kiss of lust. It was longing. Years of silence, of bottled emotion, finally spilling over. His hands moved to my waist, and I melted into him, every part of me screaming to stay in this moment. Atlanta faded around us. The world shrank down to the space between our bodies. When we finally pulled apart, our foreheads stayed pressed together. Neither of us spoke. Our breaths were tangled, our hearts loud in the silence. This changes everything, Jaden whispered. No, I said, my voice steady. It finally makes everything clear. He left a few minutes later. No lingering, no dramatic exit. Just a quiet look that said he'd be back. And as the door closed behind him, I stood in the center of the room, heart still racing. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't just Malik's wife. I was Lana. While you're here, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching.